So the first thing I'm going to talk about is you see, it's always good to have water nearby, you know, in case you just die a terrible death. Oh, and I got chocolates on deck as well. Just to keep the endorphins high, to keep the energy high, you know, to keep everything on a high vibration. You just need some high endorphin inducing sweets nearby. Thank you, sis, for buying these for me. I've been wanting to talk about essay for the longest time, and I just didn't have the balls to talk about it. I'll be honest, I didn't have the balls to talk about it. I didn't have the balls to get out of my comfort zone and just be like, boom, here you go, world. I'm an essay sufferer. But this is the day I do it. This is the day I do it. So let's begin. First of all, before I begin, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's watching these videos. If you're here for the first time, welcome. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate you coming here to click on this informative video. I hope that you're able to take something away from it. And I hope that maybe some of you can also relate, whether you're going through it yourself or whether you've got somebody close to you, a family member or a friend going through the same thing. So you know by the title of the video what this is all about. This is going to be a little bit hard for me to do, but not as hard because I've sought help for this issue and I've spoken about it now with people who are close to me. So I don't see it as such a huge thing anymore. So yeah, we're going to start with what SA actually is. A lot of people don't know what SA is. I happen to know what SA is because I suffer from it. So here we go. What is SA? SA is basically a fear of social situations, and it's a fear of being judged and criticized negatively. Okay, that's what SA really is. And that's something that I suffer from. I'm not so much scared of social situations, but I have a huge fear of being judged and perceived negatively. And a lot of the time it's by strangers. It's not by people I know. It's by people I don't know. A lot of the time people think that SA sufferers are, well, let's not say sufferers. Let's find a higher vibration word for this. Let's not say sufferers. Let's say SA experiencers, yeah? So SA experiencers are usually perceived as shy, introverted, withdrawn, nervous, a little bit backward, a little bit aloof, like disinterested. That's how people perceive us usually, and that's not really the case. That's not the case. We're not shy. I'm introverted as well as an SA sufferer, SA experiencer, but I'm not shy. Hence why I'm sitting in front of the camera with all this personality, like I'm not shy at all. But I'm just going to talk a little bit on the background of how I got here and how I even began, how I began to suffer from this and how it developed. I know this is going to sound so cliche, but this is the truth. I was bullied severely in school. I was bullied by a group of girls who were my friends and then ended up not being my friends. I moved to school twice during my bullying, and on both occasions, new school, new people bullying me. I was hit, I was embarrassed, I was humiliated in front of a lot of people, like in front of classmates. I was called names, especially skinny. I was quite slim when I was growing up. I didn't like that. And I was always bullied by black girls, And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that I was not the typical black girl. I had the whole swag of a typical black girl. You know, I'd do the whole makeup, earrings, hair, which pretty much I still do, as you can see. But I just wasn't like them. And they didn't like that. I had friends of different backgrounds. I was interested in different things. I was interested in school. Half those girls wasn't. I really wasn't interested in male attention. Half of them were. So yeah, I think they just didn't like me for that reason. They targeted me. I was also quite quiet. I was a quiet person. As I said, I was an introvert, so I feel like that also aided in them bullying me. So that was basically what had happened. When I left school, I came out and went to college. When I went to college, I had a slight bullying incident where people kind of were being disrespectful to me. And I think that had a lot to do with just me just expecting that behaviour. So I believe in law of attraction. So I felt like I attracted it to me because it was almost like, this is what I've experienced my whole life growing up in school in a social setting. Now I'm an adult, I'm 16, 17, a young adolescent, just going on to being an adult. Although I had high hopes for my college experience, which my first college experience was good. When I transferred to another college, that's when I got the bullying. And it was almost like I just felt out of my depth. I just felt like I had nothing to cling to, nobody to cling to. My social skills were not developed at that point. I didn't have any confidence in approaching people and making friends. And so because of that, I think I probably oozed low confidence and low self-esteem. And I think that's where people just targeted me. So that's what happened in my whole school and college experience. I learned to obviously grow out of that. I got more confident with age. I got more experience under my belt and moved out the country. I've done a bunch of things. So that obviously aided in me becoming more social and having more social confidence. But it was still something that really, really affected me deep down. But one thing I did learn to do was to hide it. I learned how to hide it. I developed this persona which I'd only use at work. So I would go to work and be this happy, confident, cheery person who was on point in everything at work, knew what they were doing. I'd get job interviews. Any job I wanted, I'd get it because I just became so good at acting like I was confident, so I could hide the essay because I felt like the essay would hold me back in everything in life. So I had this perception that confident and outspoken people are favoured and loved more. And so I developed this persona, which was extremely difficult to hold up in a workplace, extremely difficult to hold up anywhere because I wasn't being myself. And eventually it'd get to the point where I just would be so overwhelmed with anxiety in that social situation that I would just leave and disappear. It was just too much to go through. So at the end of all of that, I basically came to a point where I was just like, you know what? I have to do something about it. I didn't know what essay was at the time, and I found out maybe about 4 years ago, and I was like, wow, I actually have essay, and I was mind blown. I was like, I can't believe this is a natural thing. I thought it was something only I was going through. I didn't even understand it because it was like, why do you care so much what strangers think? But I felt like that was something that everybody goes through, or everybody cares about, being judged. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was a natural condition. And so I think that's what aided my suffering. So there's a lot of triggering symptoms in general. I'll go through some of them, like the general ones: being introduced to others, being criticized, being center of attention, public speaking, dealing with authority figures, being embarrassed, eye contact, swallowing in public, eating in public, feeling insecure and out of place, being watched and observed. So these are just some things that might induce essay. But for me personally, it's the repetition of going somewhere, and I think that came from the repetition of having to go into school and face people every day. I think that's what developed this disorder in me, like going to the corner shop, because that's right at the end of my road. It's somewhere that the same people work every time. If I have to go in there every time, it gets to a point where it gets really awkward and I just stop going in there. If I have to go all the way like 10 miles down the road to go to another corner shop that sells the same thing, I will do that. So I'm very much in this avoidant. I was very much in this avoidant state. My son is 2.5. He has nursery, goes to nursery. There's like a reception area, and that in that reception area, there's the same people every day. That would trigger anxiety. My anxiety is more like, it's like racing heart. Like even talking about this it's just actually making me nervous as well. But the thing is with essay is that none of it is logical. None of it makes sense. I'm a logical person. I'm a Libra. Libras are really logical, and in my head things need to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I usually can adjust and be like, okay, boom, that don't make sense. Move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's do something new. So everything else in my life, I kind of apply myself in that manner. But with this is the only thing I can't do it with, because it's something that exists within my mind. It doesn't make sense that I care so much about walking past a bunch of people in a reception area and, feeling like I want to like the floor to swallow me up. Or even with my own family at times, my own family, many times they came to my mother's house and it was like a bunch of them in the kitchen, and I would avoid going in the kitchen because there's too many people in the kitchen, more likely gonna ask me questions and more likely gonna like compliment me in some sort of way, which would draw more attention. I don't like being center of attention. As I said, I try to avoid places where I have to go regularly, where I see the same faces, because I feel like each time I go, the expectation of me grows. It's like their expectation of who I am grows, or they expect me to be this person, but really it's me. My mind is telling me you need to be this person consistently, but that's not who you really are, and it's difficult. So that's why I try to avoid. And as I said, like, I'll just think like if I'm not myself on a day, if I'm off on a day, that they would probably negatively judge me, like, oh, what's wrong with her? Why is she acting like that? She's weird, or she's not to be respected. Like, these are the things that might go through my head, and none of it makes sense, guys. It's just these people, I don't know them. They don't know me. You know, I personally wouldn't judge them like that. So why would I think that they're judging me that way? So you might be thinking, oh, so do you not leave the house? Yes, I leave the house. I leave the house. I have a very healthy social life. Do not get it twisted. I can go to a party and dance in front of people and not care. I can go to a concert by myself and not care. I can go to places where there's music and I'm fine, because there's no expectation there. It's just, you're just dancing, the music's loud, you're not expected to make conversation, none of that. So I go out and I do conversate with strangers. I do activities. I do still go to my son's nursery every day to drop him and pick him up, even though I used to be so terrified going past the reception area. Now I'm not so much. So that's the story. You guys know, I've put it out there. I've done it. It's a weight off my shoulders. I just wanted to connect to you guys and just tell you that no matter what you're going through, you can get through it if you understand it and you speak about it. This is what I did to help myself. Okay, so I went to counselling. I was able to talk about it. I was able to make sense of what it was and how it was affecting me. Maybe you're here to find out what can you do to make it better. Definitely CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. That would probably work wonders. That's most recommended for SA and just anxiety in general, because it just focuses on the now. It focuses on like what you can physically do, like goal orientated. You know, you can go out and do this to just challenge yourself. A lot of it is getting out of your comfort zone, and a lot of when I did research on SA and how to overcome it is getting out of your comfort zone. Is trying to rewire your brain to think differently in social situations, and kind of less take the focus of them judging you negatively and more put your focus on not judging them, but just more focus the other way around. So instead of you focusing from their perspective looking at you, you start look at things from your own perspective and not care about whoever's looking at you. And that's what a lot of it does say. I definitely have benefited from the counselling sessions I've received recently. I do challenge myself to talk to strangers a lot on a daily basis. So if I go to like somewhere I've never been before, a lot of the time I'll challenge myself then to just talk to people, make conversation, be friendly. It's not too hard for me to do, but just repeating that helps me get out of the old pattern of behaviour, the old cycle of behaviour. Yeah, my counselling just worked wonders for me. It helped me to really understand, like, why do you think that way? What is it about it that makes you think that way? And this is why I'm able to explain this to you today, just the way that I'm explaining it. I'm here to tell you that you're not alone and that you can get through it. I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, as an SA sufferer, to get counselling and CBT together. I'd like it would just be amazing for you to talk about it. The more you talk about it is the better it will be for you, because you understand why you personally have SA and why it's affecting your life and in what ways it's affecting you, and it will help you to rewire your mind to think differently about social situation. I am first-hand experience, because this is something that affected me so deeply for so many years. I am first-hand proof that you can work on it. I'm still working on it. I'm not going to ramble on anymore. I want to make this video as short as possible, but if you have any questions, please link them below. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Please share your experiences with SA down below. Tell me what you're doing to overcome it if you want to share, so that everybody else can gain from this video. Subscribe to the channel. Let's make this a community. I'm going to be putting out more videos on things that I personally have experienced, like difficulties in my life. Not just essay, there's so many other things. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe and stay tuned. Oh, my bag just fell over by itself. I don't know what that's about. Thank you, and I shall see you in the next video.